You know, we've all been there. You're trying to save a few bucks, so you go for the cheaper option. But what if I told you that choice is actually a trap? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the myth of cheap and show you how sometimes the most expensive thing you can buy is actually the most affordable. It sounds like a trick question, right? But the answer is a definite yes. Seriously, over 10 years, the person who keeps buying those cheap boots again and again is going to spend way more than the person who invested in quality from day one. And this isn't just some fluke, it's a real economic trap that keeps people paying more for less. So this idea actually comes from a pretty unlikely place, a fantasy novel. The author Terry Pratchett called it the Sam Vimes boots theory. And it goes something like this. A rich guy buys a $50 pair of boots, and they last him 10 years. A poor guy can only afford the $10 boots, but they fall apart in a single season. So over that decade, the poor guy ends up spending $100 on boots that fail, and on top of that, he has constantly wet feet. That, right there, is the poverty tax in a nutshell. Okay, so how do we get out of this trap? Well, we have to completely shift our mindset from just looking at the price tag to understanding the value. And lucky for us, there's a simple but incredibly powerful formula that helps us do exactly that. This is it, the cost per wear formula, or CPW. And trust me, it's a total game changer for figuring out the real economic hit of a purchase. It forces you to look past that initial ouch to your wallet and focus on what you're actually getting in the long run. Let's put this into practice with something we all buy. That €20 shirt, it feels like a total bargain, but it's designed to last maybe a year, right? So its cost per wear comes out to 40 cents. Now, look at the €50 shirt. It's built to last 4 times as long, so it costs you less than 25 cents every single time you put it on. The math just doesn't lie. The more expensive shirt is actually the smarter financial move. To really get this, we need to dig a little deeper than the price. We need to look at all those hidden details that most of us just ignore, the materials, and this is the big one, the construction. This is where that cheap boot starts to reveal all its secrets. This right here is the single biggest difference, stitching versus glue. A quality Goodyear welt uses a tough leather strip and 2 separate stitches to make a boot that's durable, water-resistant, and this is key, repairable. The cheap way? Just glue. About 95% of shoes in the entire world are just cemented together. It's fast, it's cheap, and yeah, it's designed to fail. This is a textbook example of something called planned obsolescence, literally designing a product to break. The glue failing isn't a defect, it's a feature. Every single step you take, every puddle you walk through, it just weakens that chemical bond. And when it inevitably gives up and the sole separates, that boot is just trash. A cobbler can't fix it because there's nothing to stitch a new sole onto. It's disposable by design. Now let's look inside. A quality boot has a nice, thick leather insole. Over time, that leather actually molds to your foot, creating this custom fit with amazing support. The cheap boot? It uses fiberboard, which is basically just compressed paper. The second it gets seriously wet, either from sweat or rain, it warps and pretty much disintegrates. And that's exactly why those boots lose their shape and support so fast. And the leather itself tells a big part of the story. Full-grain leather is a natural, super durable material that you can condition and repair for decades. The alternative is often this PU leather. It's just a thin layer of plastic glued onto some fabric. It doesn't breathe, you can't repair it, and as you wear it, that plastic coating just cracks and peels away, leaving you with a useless, flaking shell. So let's do the final math over 10 years. That $450 boot might need a couple of resoles, let's say, bringing your total cost to $700. Now that $25 boot, it fails every few months, so you have to replace it 40 times. That's a total spend of $1,000. You've spent an extra $300 to put 40 pairs of boots straight into a landfill, and you have nothing to show for it. And you know, the cost isn't just financial. This whole cycle of buying and throwing things away, driven by fast fashion, has some staggering consequences for our planet and for the people who make these products. That price tag never ever shows the real cost. 10%. That's how much of the world's carbon emissions come from the fashion industry. To put that in perspective, that's more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. And a massive part of that is driven by the sheer volume and waste of this fast fashion model. 2,700 liters. That's how much water it takes to make one single cotton t-shirt. That is enough drinking water for one person for almost 3 years. The scale of resource use is just almost impossible to wrap your head around. And where does all this stuff go? Well, 92 million tons of textile waste goes to landfills every single year. The average fast fashion item is worn just 7 times before it gets tossed. It is a completely linear model of take, make, and waste. And hey, don't be fooled. A higher price doesn't always mean better quality. A lot of the time, that price tag has more to do with a brand's marketing budget and their profit margin than it does with the cost of materials or paying workers fairly. Some so-called luxury brands use the exact same exploitative production methods as their fast fashion counterparts. Okay, so the problem is pretty clear. The system is basically designed to keep us buying more and more, but we can choose to opt out. And this isn't about being rich, it's about being smart. So here are 7 real, actionable steps to take back your money and your mindset. Okay, first, always calculate the cost per wear. Before you buy anything, just ask yourself, realistically, how many times am I going to use this? It totally reframes the purchase. Second, invest in your core items. Put your money towards the things you use the most. A great coat, durable shoes, those perfect jeans, that's where quality really pays off. Third, learn to spot quality. You don't have to be an expert. Just check for tight, even stitching, feel the weight of the fabric, look at the zippers and buttons. And fourth, adopt an ownership mindset. The goal isn't to have a giant pile of clothes, but to build a curated collection of things you truly love and will use for years. Number 5, maintain and repair. Take care of what you own. Polishing your shoes, sewing a loose button, that's not a chore. It's you preserving the value of your stuff and saving money. Sixth, avoid the trend traps. You know how social media pushes these micro trends that make your clothes feel outdated in like 5 minutes? Recognize that for what it is, a marketing tactic to get you to spend more, and just ignore it. And finally, number 7, build a timeless wardrobe. Focus on classic, versatile pieces that fit you well and that you can mix and match. It gets rid of that I have nothing to wear feeling and ensures you're set season after season. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that our whole idea of what makes a good deal is often totally wrong. True value isn't in that low price tag. It's in longevity, it's in durability, and it's in the peace of mind you get from owning something that's not going to fall apart on you. The next time you're tempted by what looks like a bargain, just remember this. Cheap is not a price. It's a long-term expense disguised as a deal. It's like a subscription service to a cycle of constant replacement. And it's costing you more money, more time, and more frustration in the long run. So, I'll leave you with a new question to ask yourself. The next time you see a price tag, don't just ask, can I afford this today? Instead, ask, what is the true cost of this item over the next 5 or 10 years? Answering that one question honestly, well, it might just change the way you shop forever.